Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I got my drive shaft complete. I shot the footage haphazardly showing you how I measure for this, and then I said, well, it was so hard to show how to measure it and film and everything else. I'm like, well, we'll just wait till it's done and then I'll install it and show, you know, how to install it. So install steps are as such. Grab your Milwaukee lights and your Milwaukee vacuum to use as a stool, and your Milwaukee 3/8 stubby impact. And where's a good spot to give you guys motion sickness? How about I have to turn it off and flip it? I don't think it'll auto flip. Will it auto flip? No. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is quite the annoying one. My camera didn't record audio at all for just this clip, and I actually wanted to go over a bunch and show you guys what I do here. So I have the drive shaft made. I said in the other video I would show how I measure it, so I was like, it'll be easier once I just get it, honestly. So I waited a day or two to get the drive shaft. Associated Truck Parts, those are my boys. They must have done 40 of them for me. So now I'm bolting the drive shaft in just to show, you know, so it doesn't fall and hit me in the head. Then once I put it in, I tell you to basically spin it someplace where the U-joints have a horizontal plane to hopefully, you know, actually close to level. So I always measure a car with the wheels off the ground, because that will be the farthest the drive shaft goes in. So what I'm explaining here is I put the front of the yoke in at the transmission end, and then I pull it out an inch, a little bit more than an inch. I can't believe the audio is that quiet on here and it's garbage. Anyway, so then with the yoke, like mine has a flange, so the back yoke and the front yoke essentially are connected to that U-joint. So you get it horizontal. See this man? He's talking about getting the drive shaft horizontal and getting the U-joints. And then you measure center line to center line. And then most drive shafts, in my opinion, especially the guy that I use, I give a good measurement and he builds the absolutely perfect drive shaft. So yeah, like I'm saying here, you want to be able to put it in and pull it back to install it. And since that's the farthest travel, the drive shaft will be into the trans. When you put the car on the ground and the tires go up, it actually pulls the slip yoke out. So you want to make sure you have plenty of engagement in both directions. But if you make it a tiny bit too long, you can't get the flange or whatever else you need to get installed. And if you, you know, go over some bad enough bumps, it could just bottom out in the tranny. So what I was showing before was I installed the yoke, and then I pulled it out about an inch, like I do like one of my finger widths, and I actually showed a tape measure, a little Milwaukee tape measure. Imagine that. And then on the back here, I had bolted it flat. And then what you want to do is you want to get two of the U-joints almost horizontal, and then you're going to measure from the center line to the center line over here. And I mean, that's how my drive shaft guy and I have done it for a long time. I've dealt with a lot of other drive shaft persons, and they do pretty much the same thing. Some places ask you for a ton of measurements, which I can see how and why. Like if you have the flange or the socket style or the caps, like there's just the caps go in. But for Fords with the flange, that's an Explorer flange and 1350, and that's a 1350 billet Sonax yoke, and non-greasable solid U-joints, and I painted it at home with Tractor Supply paint. So yes, anyway, that method works out for me. He builds a drive shaft the same way. I ask for the same dimensions. They are literally perfect every time. That's the system we use. You may have to ask your drive shaft person what they prefer, but man, that's what I do and what works for me. So this guy's in. I'm just gonna bolt it in, and what's fantastic is the car has park now. And I think what I'm gonna work on next is probably taking out that tray, that's like the shifter tray, I bolted it in there because I thought it would be a nice cover, but it hangs down a little bit, and I need to see what I'm going to do. I have like a billet B&M, like a pro race style shifter, not a race, but you know what I mean. And there's no real good place to put those on these cars except for like where the e-brake handle was. So I got to do that next. I want to be able to put it in and out of gear, and then bleed front brakes and do mild wiring the whole time also. So we'll get on that. All right, kids, it is time. The drive shaft is in and locked, which means the car is in park. And I would like to be able to pull it out of park without crawling under it, as I may not want to, I want to push this around. I might not be able to fit under it, and I have to like jack the car up to put it in neutral to, yeah, essentially I'm not looking forward to any of that, so I don't want to. So got to put the shifter in, start throwing the interior back together a little bit. I looked through a bunch of the things that Holly had, and because they own B&M, so I asked for like this very standard-ish looking guy here. No reason to do anything crazy because it's 80E, so it's nice. You just like, most of the time you'll stay in like, this works just like the Winters I had that I actually really liked. You'll be in overdrive and you can just hit third and then overdrive. That's what I liked about that style shifter. It doesn't need lockouts or anything any other than what it has. So, and it's just, pretty normal looking. So I chose that, and I guess we'll pop it apart quick and we'll look through the instructions, as I put together a bunch like this, but it's nice to breeze through them. And more than likely that's our GM bracket, and this is probably, oh, it is specifically for GM. I'm like, oh, it doesn't have it, it has the GM shifter and bracket, and I realized it's only for rear cable 4-speed GM's forward pattern. It's exactly what it's only for. So that would make sense, huh, boys and girls? So rear exit, I guess you take off one of the side panels and put the cables in. Looks like this side we're going to take off. Alright, now that I have this thing apart, I know from looking at this, this is the inside with the hoop, and that's what goes on the transmission stop nut. And you might think you have to drill this out to fit this, but you take everything off. You only have to drill out enough to slide this guy through. Take all these pieces and grommets and everything off, and then you're ready to go. So the way it works is it's a rear exit, so this bolts on. You feed this guy through, taking off the grommets and everything again, and you nut and bolt this guy here, and then you line it up with this guy here, and it comes with a little E-clip, and when you slide this, it slides the connector down out here yonder. So we're gonna see where possibly that might fit nice. The biggest issue with these cars is fitting the shifter somewhere not awful, and it's just, it is what it is. You have to kind of live with it. I'll show you what a lot of people do is they just replace where the e-brake goes. I don't have an e-brake anymore anyway, so I'm gonna put the sides on this. Oh, this is metal, check this out. It's metal, so the metal gate hits that with a pro gate. Nice. Anyway, yeah, so we're up to that. Gonna see how it fits in the e-brake area, and I might cut that plastic out nice, put it out the back underneath the armrest where your elbow goes back here, and then up to the tranny would be amazing, because in the front the transmission takes up almost all the room. I might leave the stock whole thing covered because it's grommeted and bolted beautifully. I think I talked about that when I was underneath it the other day. So let's get to that instead of holding our hands. Okay, I got this guy on the super view angle. So this is what I discussed. The e-brake thing here, there's no good way to put a shifter up here because the stereo and the dash are here,
And these cars are kind of funny. The shifter, it comes backing out kind of like a truck, because everything here is pretty far out. Normally a shifter is like out here on a car. These are kind of reaching forward. And the way that it's set up is, if you get a shifter into the shifter area, this guy is behind the stereo. It's behind the stereo. So what you end up doing on a lot of these cars is, like I said, cutting out part of this shifter area. Probably, I mean, it doesn't have to be a lot. I think I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna put part of the dash back in up front, over here yonder, and I'm gonna see, but I believe this would be fine. And then I can cut out to, like, I don't know if I want to, I might just leave this alone. Like I was saying, it's such a nice cover, and it's got a gasket and everything. I'll just leave it go, because it seals everything off so nice. And because making that flat and putting the shifter on it isn't really going to help anything. Even if it's like this or like this, it's still in the way. You might as well just go back here, you know, underneath. So, and then part of me is like, you should just go back as far as possible and shove this guy under the back, because this is flat metal under here. I'll show you, because then you can still snap in this unmolested grommet here. And I think on a car or two, I've seen them put a gauge cluster in here, and it would be cool to kind of put the 3.5 inch in here on like the stock thing, and you know, maybe some buttons, some boost control and other things like dial a boost and everything. Would be really cool to just have here at your hand, and then the shifter back here, because you're just going to be putting it in drive or third and smashing on it anyway. So this is all dead space. This is all dead space anyway back here. I can't really do anything, but I don't think I can put the shifter back that far. It would be funny, maybe, because where would first be? First would be, yeah, I mean, ideally, I'm just gonna cut out the side section of this, and because otherwise you're cutting into your cup holders, and man, when you're picking up Starbucks, you simply have to put your Starbucks, you have to have 2 Starbucks cups also. Look how filthy this car was. Oh well, it wasn't that bad. What am I saying? Just some goober in here. Also, this piece has been on top of the car or in my attic or on the floor for like a year. Anywho, yeah, I think this, you know what I mean, this is like the best of all the evils here, right? Without doing like a custom center console or throwing it out. So that's what we're gonna do. And I'm gonna get this piece of trim, but I think with this flat, this should be like right under the lip here and there. You know, we'll see. So once I'm gonna use this multi-tool. This cuts plastic like a beast. This is basically a plastic cutter. And look how I've been cutting metal and stuff with it like a jerk. So maybe tomorrow I'll stop and get a better blade. But yeah, you can just plunge and cut nicely with these things. I'm sure some of you already know about it, but if you didn't, now you do. So yeah, under here, this guy lifts right out real nice right now. Into the back seat, Jim. Okay, so like we said, I think I'm gonna slice the carpet in the middle and just make sure that this is actually a nice flat area, but it is. And like I said, gonna go here. What's nice is I believe these are like reverse lights, and maybe park neutral safety. Maybe one was just for the e-brake and the dash. Either way, we're gonna test those out. So they're right here for the other shifter, and the wiring, can you see it? I have to keep checking my screen here. There's wiring under here, so you know, from all I can tell, there's nothing here. So I'm gonna slice it and we're gonna make sure. But yeah, probably bolt it flat. The bolt holes are right about in line with this guy, so yeah, I mean that would please the crown right there. And then what we do is I just keep trying to shove this back on and trim around it until something positive happens. So come with me and you'll see, you know, a world of cut interior pieces. So, we'll jump in here again. What I did was drilled holes and did riv nuts, because I have a bunch of that, and I'm using any and every opportunity to use them because they're nice. Man, I used to use self-tappers, or I used to do nuts and bolts and go underneath, and yeah, don't have to do that anymore. What a fantastic cheap tool that I should have bought 10 years ago. Let me flip this thing around. So what's nice is most of the stuff comes off the shifter, and I made these holes a tiny bit bigger with these M8s are basically just the size of the holes on this, so there was no movement allowed. So I made them a tiny bit bigger to allow, you know, a little bit of wiggle once I get the plastic in here. So wind these guys down. The M8s are pretty tight up against the walls of the shifter here. I should have maybe contemplated something else, but you know what? It's done. And they're hardy, so they should take less bullshit. Oh, come on. Don't be a jerk. Here we go. So, that's the extent of the cutting. Obviously, I could have left more here, but I wanted it on flat surfaces, and then get to bolt this guy down, bolt this guy down a little bit more. See, it starts to get tight. You can go back and forth. I think this side gets really tight, and then we'll pull this side, still get on this side. Alright, so that is totally bolted down there. This back one I should have started better, because that M8 bolt is a tiny bit chewy also. Can I wiggle this? Oh, here comes the heater. Yep, this is spinning on much nicer. Oh, heater's probably out. It's puffing. Nah, it's clearing up. She's like a diesel locomotive. She's gotta carry a few cylinders. It's definitely running low when it does that. So, man, that's nice and robust. Good enough for me. It's just going to be doing this. So then I can get back to bolting this guy down and putting the face plates on, and then I think I'll run the cable immediately, because if we look under here, let me grab you guys. If we look under here, this is where the e-brake cables would go, and it's plenty appropriately sized grommet. Can't believe how nice that works out. So I can put the cable out here. I'm probably going to cut this nipple off. It looks like it's directly in line with my cable, and it used to be for like the e-brake and some other supportive stuff that doesn't exist anymore. I left it here in case the shifter would go on it, but yeah, got the nice nut certs. Man, the plastic is what wiggles. The metal doesn't wiggle at all. So I can tighten those up and then throw the cable in here, shove it under the car, and see how much farther we can get. Super excited. Thanks. Okay, thanks, bye. All right, I figured I would show this. This might look intimidating, but it's not. All these pieces are basically sized so that you can't put them on the wrong way, but definitely don't drop that tiny little guy. And just pull these grommets off. See, they go up in size, so it's not really that big of a deal. Ugh. Take this guy off, and then you take these guys off. And then that's what goes on the shifter stuff. So all that's off, and now you got this. You gotta just get this size guy out, and let's see how easy it goes out. Can we see it? I see my hand. Yeah, we can. Okay, so How is this going to... Alright. These cables are stiff. What's going on here? Is it that small? Is it super small? Something behind it? Before I wreck my cable? Nope, it's just... I think just a cable went out. Like a little bicycle cable for the e-brake stuff. So... Yep. Nice, it's hitting the drive shaft. So we know we're through. Yeah, I hear it wrapping around everything under there. What we might do is push it out the other side. Because these cables are so stiff, the eyelet is on this side. Yeah, I just heard it go over everything. It's like I'm a heart surgeon in here. Alright. So I gotta check the instructions. Usually these go on the outside. Inside? Yeah, you can't go on the inside of this. It has to go on the outside. This jacket is too thick to do that. So get these guys off. Yep. Put this on the outside of the bolt. That actually might work out for me. The bolt might help me support this. Yeah, the bolt's right where, yep, as suspected, the bolt is right on top of my clear path. And this is super important to not get the shifter cable perfect. In my opinion, it has to be perfect or you'll hurt your tranny. So, we're gonna cut that out. But get this, it was a stud, and I whacked it with 10 mil, and it pulled the stud out. So how fortunate is that? How much mat luck was there on that? Ugh. Okay, we'll get this stuff on. Part of me might want to move the shifter over, but honestly, it's just because this cable is, they wrap them and they stay. They want to stay wrapped like crazy. All right, where is my bag of goodies? I'll be right back. So here's our conclusion for the night. There's my drive-by-wire cable. I gotta get a throttle pedal assembly next. It is in, I'm done. It's bolted in with nut certs. Everything else, it's kind of the ugliest it's gonna be right now. And then I got the cable in, and the cable did go right into the e-brake boot, and it's underneath, and I'll put up this video and then I'll do the adjustment as its own video. The nut on the side of my shifter, or the transmission, doesn't exist, which is fairly normal, or they're stripped out or something else. So what I did was, excuse me, it's 20 degrees. I have metric nut certs. I knew it was metric, so I threaded this into the side of the tranny, and this thread pattern matches what the shifter head is, and it's also like a bell housing bolt. So I'm going to take these to Tractor Supply and get a nylock that's this metric thread, and we should be good to go and start all that off and button everything up. Look at this, I dropped the Coke can and it didn't blow up on me though, thankfully. Have a good one.